And we're live. What's good, Ohio Cannabis Report family? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. back with another live episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report. Now, today we are streaming on our Facebook page. We have our Facebook page up, and we also got our YouTube channel. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe on the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. And today we're just going to go over the legislative analysis of SB 56, just so people know what's actually in the laws, right? I know a lot of people don't give a damn. People going to smoke how they want to smoke. They're going to go up to Michigan, buy their weed, and do what they do. So this is just so people know what is on the books, okay? I am not here to be law enforcement. I'm not here to be the politicians. I am just here to share the news and information and the resources so that you guys have the information on what's going on when it comes to SB 56. So I did a part one earlier this morning. So make sure you guys go check out part one of the legislative analysis. Also, just know that this is for news and entertainment purposes only. I am not a lawyer. I am not affiliated with any of these cannabis companies or brands. This is my own opinion, my thoughts. And so make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 400 subs on our YouTube page. So I really appreciate you guys supporting the YouTube. Our one Instagram page, I think we're at like 2,000 followers. But the new Instagram page, we have a few hundred. And so we are continuing to build out the platform. We are on Substack as well, which reminds me I have to do a Substack article soon. But I appreciate you guys' support. Also, we have the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum, which is April 4th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a free event. I just asked that you RSVP on our Eventbrite page. Tickets are going fast. I believe we have about 40 people signed up so far, and we only had about 50 seats. So please sign up for that. It's a great opportunity to network, a great opportunity to hear from grassroots cannabis growers, people that are on the ground, boots on the ground, people that have testified at the State House against SB 56, small entrepreneurs. This is not an event that I expect to change the hearts and minds of the GOP. This is not the event where I'm expecting it to bring the entire community together and we're going to figure out what Columbus is going to do with the $4.8 million or $4.7 million they got for community funds. This is literally a first-time community event where we can come together, collaborate, network, and see what progress has been made, but also what can we do going forward in the midst of Senate Bill 56, right? So this is just a great opportunity to come network, come hear from some people that have been doing the work. I know there's a lot of people on the legacy market underground that will complain and say things, but at the end of the day, if you're not using your voice to speak up publicly, whether it's at the State House, whether it's via social media, don't come to my event, you know what I mean, and try to raise hella, noise and awareness, because I've been following this for the last 6 years. I've been at the State House for the last 6 years. I've been on the internet for the last 6 years. And certain people, you don't see them until you do something, and then they want to leech off of what you got going on. So please don't come with no bullshit. I'm already putting out fires from other people who have their own little rifts within the cannabis community. And so this is a great opportunity. Thanks to Ground and Grind for allowing us to utilize their space for this event. Shout out to ACLU Ohio for sponsoring, for being a social equity sponsor. Shout out to Always Athens for sponsoring. Shout out to Mike Smith for the partnership. Shout out to Ohio TV, Ohio TV for being our media partner. Shout out to Anthony Riley, who is the founder of Ohio Cannabis Live, which is another cannabis media platform. And he's also the founder of the Ohio Cannabis Expo, which he also has an event coming up in a few months that I'll be sitting on a panel for athletes in cannabis. Shout out to Sarah Coya Bryant for coming up from Athens, Ohio, before her trip to Thailand. And so thanks to Bree Ebony Hempress for agreeing to moderate the event and be a host for the event. Shout out to Ronnie Smith for also being on the panel, and shout out to Tasha Roundtree for her advocacy work and her willingness to come and be a part of the event as well. So I got a great panel a very diverse panel of different backgrounds, different thoughts, different ages, females, males. Like we got a little bit of everything, women, men. So it looks to be a great turnout, and I'm looking forward to hearing from our panelists and what they have to say on what's been going on in the Ohio cannabis industry. So again, get those tickets. It's a free event. I do accept donations to help support our nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach, which is a veteran-owned and operated nonprofit focused on environmental justice, social equity, ending food apartheid in Ohio. And so we have a lot of great initiatives going on. So I really appreciate everybody that has purchased a ticket or RSVP'd already. Again, this is a free event. You don't have to purchase anything. Again, this is my first time doing this type of event. So, I don't really have all the logistics planned out. I kind of just had the idea and I was like, let's make it happen. So we're making it happen. So if you're in Columbus, if you're in Ohio, April 4th, the Central Ohio Cannabis Social Equity Forum, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Columbus, Ohio. It'll be a great opportunity to network and hear from some people who've actually been going to the State House to oppose the bill, right? Because now a lot of people are on Threads and Instagram. Oh my God, like we voted for this. Now they've been working on overturning this for more than a year. Like as soon as we voted it in, they started working on changing the law, right? Like this is not something that's out of the blue. Like they've been actively, working to go against the will of the voters, right? So that's why, like, I'm not really shocked by, SB 56. So with no further ado, I'm going to go over the legislative analysis. I did a part 1, like I said earlier, so make sure you guys go check that out. And then I'll pick up where I left off on from part 1 for part 2. So for my TikTok, if you're on TikTok, I'm on streaming right now on YouTube, on my YouTube page for Ohio Cannabis Report. And so I'll show you guys what it looks like, just so you know what I'm talking about right now, so you can follow along for my TikTok family, so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the legislative analysis for SB 56, final analysis. So this is the law that changes Ohio's cannabis laws, creating fines, criminal penalties for cannabis possession, cannabis consumption in Ohio. So let me see. All right. So name, image, and likeness, NIL deals. SB 56 expands the authority of institutions of higher education to prohibit students from entering into certain name, image, and likeness NIL deals to include adult use marijuana products and license holders. Local government authority expands local government authority to prohibit or limit the number of licensed marijuana cultivator, processors, dispensaries, and test laboratories. Give me 1 second. Ooh, let me see. Good, man. How's it going? Good. You helping me for the water meter? Yeah, yeah. It's inside the house, right? Yeah, I believe it's is it might be in the washroom. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thing was right. That it? Yeah. Step out your way. Water is going to be turned off for like 20 minutes, okay? Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I ain't even have my headphones in. We getting our water meter. The water meter change real quick. Let me see. Make sure y'all can hear me. Make sure my mic on. My mic sounds nice. Oh, it was already on that. All right. So local government authority expands local government authority to prohibit or limit the number of licensed marijuana cultivators, processors, dispensaries, or testing laboratories. Employment specifies that a person who is discharged from employment for using marijuana is not eligible to serve a waiting period or be paid unemployment benefits for the duration of that person's unemployment. Current agricultural use valuation makes land use to cultivate adult use marijuana ineligible to be valued for property tax purposes as other agricultural land pursuant to its current agricultural use value. Local tax preemptions extends local tax preemptions applicable to just medical or adult use marijuana license holders to the other respective license holder. Expungement of prior marijuana or hashish possession offenses permits a person who, prior to March 20th, 2026, was a defendant named in a dismissed complaint, indictment, or information for, or was convicted of or pled guilty to an eligible marijuana or hashish possession offense to apply to the sentencing court to have the official record or record of conviction expunged. Provides that an eligible marijuana or hashish possession offense is a minor misdemeanor marijuana possession offense, a misdemeanor hashish possession offense, or a felony hashish possession offense involving not more than 15 grams of hash. Specifies that unless indignant, the applicant must pay a filing fee of $50 with $30 of the fee designated to go to the state treasury, with half of that amount credited to the Attorney General Reimbursement Fund and $20 to go to the County General Revenue Fund. Requires the court to receive that receives an application for expungement to set a date for a hearing within 45 to 90 days after the date of the filing of the application. Requires the court to notify the prosecutor of the hearing and permits the prosecutor to file an objection to the application prior to the hearing. Requires the court at the hearing to do the following. Determine whether the applicant has, prior to March 20th, 2026, been a defendant named in a dismissed complaint, indictment, or information for or been convicted of a or pleaded guilty to an eligible marijuana or hash possession offense. If the prosecutor has filed an objection, consider the reasons against granting the application. Weigh the interests of the applicant in having the official record or record of conviction expunged against the legitimate needs, if any, or of the government to maintain those records. Requires the court to order expungement if the court or if the record meets eligibility requirements and if the court orders the expungement. Requires the court to send notice of the order to each public office or agency that the court has reason to believe may have an official record pertaining to the case. Appropriations appropriates $47.5 million in fiscal year 2026 and $49 million in fiscal year 2027 from the host community cannabis fund to make marijuana excise tax distributions to municipal corporations and townships that have adult use dispensaries. Hemp replaces definition in the law governing hemp with new federally compliant hemp definitions that narrow the scope of what is considered hemp by specifying in part that hemp does not include any hemp-derived cannabinoid products that exceeds 0.4 mg of total THC per container, includes cannabinoids that are not capable of being naturally produced by the cannabis sativa L plant, cannabis plant, and includes cannabinoids that are capable of being naturally produced by a cannabis plant and were synthesized or manufactured outside the plant. Requires the superintendent of cannabis control in consultation with the director of agriculture to establish certain lists related to the definition of hemp, including cannabinoids known to be capable of being naturally produced by the cannabis plant. Requires the superintendent to update the list based on changes made by applicable federal agencies. Requires the Department of Agriculture in consultation and in cooperation with the Department of Public Safety's Ohio Investigative Unit to enforce the law governing hemp processing. Regulations on of drinkable cannabinoid products, DCPs, vetoed, would have created a temporary regulation structure for the sale of DCPs, which again, they gutted that, so you can't sell hemp drinks anymore. Uh, would have defined DCPs as liquid hemp product to which all of the following criteria would have applied. The product contains cannabinoids that are solely derived from hemp. The product is prepackaged and intended to be consumed via ingestion. The product does not contain more than 0.3% of any THC and does not include a drug. The product does not contain more than 0.3% of THC per serving, and the product container does not contain more than one serving of 12 liquid ounces. Would have allowed micro distilleries, small breweries, bars, and restaurants to sell DCPs at retail for on-premises consumption. Obviously, they have gutted that, right? They've gutted the hemp program. Uh, would have allowed grocery stores or carryout stores, Class C liquor permit holders, to sell DCPs at retail for off-premises consumption. Again, they vetoed this, so it's not part of the bill any longer. Selling a DCP to a person under 21 years of age, selling at retail in Ohio a hemp product, and marketing it as marijuana, using any terms associated with the sale or at retail in Ohio of hemp products that would cause a consumer to infer that hemp product is marijuana, would have established other provisions governing the temporary regulations of DCPs, including requiring the superintendent of cannabis control to adopt policies governing the testing of DCPs and the creation and maintenance of a list of approved THCs that may be included in DCPs. Specifying that if the federal government legalizes hemp beverages at THC limits greater than those allowable under federal law, set to take effect on November 12, 2026, it is the intent of the General Assembly to review the federal enactment of the consider a more robust regulatory framework of these products in an effort to legalize hemp beverages for sale and consumption in Ohio beyond December 31st, 2026. Specifies if any portion of the requirements or the application thereof in the act of held by the court to be invalid, the validity does not affect other provisions or the application of the provisions that can be given effect without the valid provision or application. So obviously, table of contents, that was a lot to read. How to transport adult use marijuana. So we'll look at page 15. Detailed analysis. Medical marijuana. THC limits. Limit the amount of disciplines, packaging, labels, and home grow. Under continuing law, adult use consumers may cultivate, grow, and possess up to 6 marijuana plants, with not more than 12 plants being grown per household. So we still got home grow in Ohio. You can still grow 6 plants per adult, up to 12 plants. Under the former cannabis control law, any person who grew more than double the allowable number of plants was guilty of illegal trafficking in drugs and illegal manufacturing of drugs. So you heard that before, it was double. So if you had 2 adults in the household, people were growing, you could grow 23. If you grew over 23, that's when it became illegal in drug trafficking. Now it's explicit. The act maintains that the 12 plant limit, but specifies that persons who knowingly exceed this limit by any number of plants is guilty of illegal cultivation of marijuana. So if you grow over 12 plants, if you grow 13, that's the limit. All right. Former law authorized adult use consumers to transfer up to 6 plants to other adult use consumers, so long as the transfer was made without advertisement. The act authorizes the transfer of adult use and homegrown marijuana as specified below under possession. Note that the possession limits exclude any seeds, live plants, or clones being cultivated, grown, or possessed under the homegrown law. Accordingly, it appears that adult use consumers may transfer an unlimited number of plants to other adult use consumers, so long as the requirements for transfer of adult use and homegrown marijuana are met. Continuing law, changed in part by the bill, requires home grow to take place at the adult use consumer's primary residence, i.e., the residence of the individual in which the individual's habitation is fixed, into which, whenever the person is absent, the person has the intention of returning. The act applies to the same requirements but does not define primary residence. It also prohibits home grow at any of the following: a primary residence that is a child care home or that is occupied pursuant to a rental agreement that prohibits home grow, a halfway house, community transitional housing facility, community residential center, or okay, other similar facility licensed by the Division of Parole and Community Services. The residential premises occupied pursuant to a rental agreement that prohibits home grow activities. Cultivation, growth, and possession of homegrown marijuana on behalf of another person is explicitly prohibited by Act 13. Adult consumers possession. Former law allowed adult use consumers to possess up to 2.5 ounces, 70.87 grams of marijuana in any form other than extracts, and up to 15 grams of adult use extracts. The act is similar, but applies the possession limits to plant material up to 2.5 ounces, the extracts 15 grams. Furthermore, the act specifies that the possession limit for plant material does not apply to seeds, live plants, or clones being cultivated, grown, or possessed in accordance with homegrown law. As described above under scope of legalization, the possession limit for adult use consumers under the former cannabis control law applied to cannabis, which includes any marijuana regardless how it was acquired. The act allows adult use consumers to possess only homegrown marijuana and adult use marijuana. The limit that limits of marijuana and marijuana acquired from a licensed dispensary or grown legally under the home grow law. Marijuana acquired elsewhere, like an out-of-state dispensary, cannot be legally possessed under the act. So that talks about going up to Michigan, right? A lot of people been going up to Michigan. Now that makes it illegal under this law. People say, well, it was already illegal. Yes, it was federally illegal, right? It's federally illegal to transport cannabis across state lines. But if you have two states, right, Michigan, which is completely legal, medical adult use, and Ohio, it borders, right? So then we have Indiana, we got West Virginia, Pennsylvania, right? So some of those states are illegal, right? And so people are traveling. Kentucky are coming to Ohio for legal adult use cannabis, right? Just like a lot of people are going up to Michigan. So now it makes that illegal to transport cannabis, even if you legally purchase it in a legal state, right? Makes it technically illegal. Obviously, nobody's telling you guys not to do it. Do what you want to do, right? But again, they will be looking for it. There will be fines. There will be criminal penalties based on all these things. So be wise. Transfer. Under former law, adult use consumers were authorized to transfer cannabis to another adult use consumer in amounts not exceeding the possession limits, so long as the transfer was made without advertisement and remuneration. Numeration. That's a tough one right there. Let me see. Transferring adult use cannabis in amounts greater than the possession limits was considered the illegal trafficking of drugs. The act allows the transfer of adult use and homegrown marijuana, but not medical marijuana, to another adult use consumer if all of the following conditions are met. The transfer is made without remuneration. Uh, the amount transferred to the same adult use consumer in the same day does not exceed 2.5 ounces of plant material, excludes seeds, live plants, or clones, or 15 grams of extract. The transfer occurs at a privately owned real property that is used primarily for residential or agricultural purposes, including any dwellings, facilities, improvements, and on such real property. Under the act, any person other than a license holder who knowingly transfers marijuana outside of the confines of the requirements described above is guilty of trafficking in marijuana. Transportation. The act prohibits any person from knowingly transporting marijuana other than adult use marijuana, homegrown marijuana, or medical marijuana in a motor vehicle. How to transport adult use and medical marijuana. The act prohibits any person from knowingly transporting medical marijuana or adult use marijuana in a motor vehicle unless one of the following applies. The adult use marijuana or medical marijuana is in the original unopened packaging in which it was dispensed or sold. If previously opened, the adult use marijuana or medical marijuana is stored in the trunk of the motor vehicle, or if the motor vehicle does not have a trunk, behind the last upright seat of the motor vehicle, or in an area not normally occupied by the driver or passengers and not easily accessible by the driver. How to transport homegrown marijuana. Further, the act prohibits knowingly transporting homegrown marijuana in a motor vehicle unless the homegrown marijuana is stored in the trunk of the motor vehicle. Or if the motor vehicle does not have a trunk, behind the last upright seat of the motor vehicle, or in an area not normally occupied by the driver or passenger and not easily accessible by the driver. How to transport marijuana paraphernalia. Finally, the act prohibits knowingly transporting marijuana paraphernalia in a motor vehicle unless one of the following applies. The marijuana paraphernalia is in the original unopened packaging in which it was dispensed or sold. If previously opened, the marijuana paraphernalia is stored in the trunk of the motor vehicle, or in the motor vehicle if the motor vehicle does not have a trunk, behind the last upright seat of the motor vehicle, or in the area not normally occupied by the driver or passengers and not easily accessible by the driver. Punishment. A violation of any of the Act's transportation requirements regarding adult use marijuana, homegrown marijuana, or medical marijuana is a minor misdemeanor. A violation of the marijuana paraphernalia transportation requirements is guilty of illegal use or possession of marijuana drug paraphernalia, also a minor misdemeanor. Storage. The act requires adult use consumers, medical marijuana patients, or medical marijuana caregivers to store edible, medical, and adult use marijuana products in their original packaging at all times when not actively being used. Paraphernalia and accessories. The former cannabis control law allowed adult use consumers to possess and use any marijuana paraphernalia, which was defined as equipment, products, or materials used in planting, propagating, cultivating, growing, harvesting, composting, manufacturing, compounding, converting, and producing, possessing, preparing, testing, analyzing, packaging, repackaging, storing, vaporizing, or containing cannabis, or for ingesting, inhaling, or otherwise introducing cannabis into the human body. The act repeals the definition and instead requires DCC to adopt rules specifying which marijuana paraphernalia and accessories may be used in the administration of adult use marijuana and homegrown marijuana. The same rule-based requirement applies medical marijuana under the continuing law.
Not done yet.
Okay.
The water should be back on. Can you make sure?
Yeah.
Can you check your?
Yeah.
There's work that I have to do outside.
Outside.
Like about 10 minutes. Want to know when I'm good to go.
All right, bet. Yeah, it's all.
Cool. Now you get a signature here. Somewhere in the center. And I don't need to come back inside, so you should be all good.
All right, cool.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Have a good day, sir.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yep.
Take care. Had to do something to the water meter. The water meter. All right, let me see. Smoking, combustion, vaporization. Under continuing law, smoking or combustion of adult use marijuana is subject to same limitations that apply to smoking cigarettes. Excuse me. It is prohibited in public places and places of employment. Smoking and combustion of medical marijuana is prohibited altogether. Furthermore, former law imposed a criminal penalty for using adult use cannabis in public areas. The act repeals the general prohibition of public use, but specifies that smoking, combustion, and vaporization of adult use and homegrown marijuana and vaporization of medical marijuana is prohibited anywhere other than privately owned real property that is used primarily for residential or agricultural purposes, including any dwellings, facilities, improvements, and appurtenances on such real property. Furthermore, the smoking, combustion, of or vaporization of adult use or homegrown marijuana and vaporization of medical marijuana is prohibited in any of the following: a private residence that is a child care center, child care home, which again shouldn't be smoking around kids, which again that is perfectly fine with us. A public place, a place of employment, halfway house, community transitional housing facility, community residential center, or other similar facilities licensed by the Division of Parole and Community Services. However, smoking and combustion of medical marijuana is also prohibited in public place. A residential premises where smoking, combustion, or vaporization is prohibited according to the lease agreement. A violation of either of the first two smoking, combustion, or vaporization provisions is a minor misdemeanor, but there is no criminal penalty for the third. In vehicles, continuing law explicitly prohibits an individual from operating a vehicle, motor vehicle, streetcar, trackless trolley, bike, watercraft, or aircraft while using adult use marijuana or while under the influence. A person who operates or has physical control over a vehicle, streetcar, trackless trolley, watercraft, or aircraft while under the influence of marijuana is subject to a relevant OVI laws. Under former law, a passenger smoking, combusting, or vaporizing adult use cannabis in one of the above listed vehicles or crafts was guilty of a minor misdemeanor. The act instead provides that such passenger is guilty of a misdemeanor of the third degree if the operator is operating or has physical control over the vehicle or craft. Underage use and false identification. Former law prohibits using false identification to acquire or use adult use marijuana. Violators of the prohibition were subject to the following penalties. First offense, fined between $250 and $1,000 and jailed for up to 6 months. Second offense, fined between $500 and $1,000 and jailed for up to 6 months. Also subject to class 7 driving suspension, a period of less than a year, or community service at the discretion of the court. Third offense and any subsequent offense, fined between $500 and $1,000 and jailed for up to 6 months. Also subject to a class 6 driving suspension between 3 months and 2 years. Driving suspension until the offender turns 21 or community service at the discretion of the court. The act maintains that the same penalties, but specifies that the financial sanctions are in lieu of any other fiscal or financial sanctions or penalties that may apply to the violation. Continuing law unchanged by the act specifies default financial sanction, blah, 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 blah. Distribution, don't distribute cannabis to minors, basically. Parents and guardian, let's see, adverse actions against adult use consumers. Former law prohibits the following adverse actions against the adult use consumer based solely on the consumer's use of adult use marijuana or activities within the cannabis control. A state licensing board taking a disciplinary action against a professional license holder. A court issuing an adjudication that a child is abused or neglected, an allocation of parental rights and responsibilities, or parents' time order unless there is a clear and convincing evidence that the child is unsafe, disqualifying a person from medical care, including which respects to transplant waiting lists, taking action under any criminal or civil statute, subjecting a person to a field sobriety test absent reasonable suspicion that the individual is under the influence, rejecting a person as a tenant unless required by federal law, disqualifying an individual from a public benefit program. Let's see. Licensing under former law, licenses to cultivate, process, dispense, or test adult use cannabis were distinct from licenses to cultivate, process, dispense, or testing medical marijuana. The adult use licenses had their own separate application and renewal procedures, eligibility criteria, fees, and process requirements. An operator could, in theory, have chosen to work with only adult use cannabis or only medical marijuana. However, in practice, all current license holders are either dual use, meaning they cultivate, process, dispense, or test both medical marijuana and adult use marijuana, or medical only. So DMC licenses, license category, permit activities, 37 cultivators, 23 level 1 dual use cultivators, 14 level 2 dual use cultivators, 46 processors, 46 dual use processors, 281 dispensaries, 199 operational dual use dispensaries, 11 medical provisional dispensaries, 71 10B provisional dispensaries, 8 testing laboratories, 6 dual use testing laboratories, 2 medical only provisional licenses. There are 467,085 registered medical marijuana patients and 42,438 registered caregivers in Ohio. Let's see, it's medical licenses. Okay, renewal applications. We'll go over that stuff later. Advertisements. Former cannabis control law authorized DCC to adopt reasonable standards that prevent advertisements for adult use marijuana that are false, targeted towards minors, promote excessive use, or promote illegal activity. The act expands DCC's rulemaking authority to medical marijuana advertisements. Furthermore, it allows DCC to prohibit advertisements that are attractive to minors, obscene or indecent, contain depictions of marijuana use, or promote marijuana as an intoxicant. Any rule adopted by DCC concerning adult use marijuana advertising must be no less stringent than the most stringent rules that apply to tobacco or alcohol advertising. Under the act, neither adult use nor medical marijuana may be marketed using any graphic picture or drawing that bears any resemblance to a cartoon character or popular figure whose target audience is children or youth. Additionally, no person may place or maintain or cause to be placed on or maintained an advertisement for marijuana within 500 feet of the boundaries of a parcel of real estate having situated on it a school, church, public library, public playground, or public park. The prohibition, however, does not apply to signage on the facility of a license holder. With regard to advertisements of adult use marijuana, the act prohibits any assertion or suggestion that adult use marijuana has health or therapeutic benefits. Former law prohibited rules that require pre-approval of adult use marijuana advertisements or that overly burden the legitimate commercial speech of license holders. The act repeals the prohibition and instead institutes a pre-approval process. The act requires all names, logos, signs, or materials used to market adult use or medical marijuana to be subjected to the DCC for approval before their use. DCC must approve or disapprove such submissions within 21 business days, or the name, logo, sign, or material is deemed to be approved. So yeah, that's more so licensing information. Da, da, da. Mm. Make sure y'all tap in the comments. Let me know. Make sure I like, comment, subscribe. Gifts. The former cannabis control law prohibited dispensaries from selling or dispensing adult use cannabis without remuneration unless authorized to do so under the rules adopted by DCC. The act instead requires DCC to establish standards prohibiting a person from using gifts, samples, or other free or discounted goods or services to induce or reward a license holder for business or referrals. Civil actions against DCC. The act repeals all of the following provisions related to the possible failure on part of the DCC to implement the requirement of the former cannabis control law. Bring a lawsuit to compel DCC to perform the actions mandated under the cannabis law. Authorization if DCC fails to issue a license or denial within the 3 months after an application has been filed. For the applicant to sue to compel DCC to carry out its duties and also operate under the temporary license. Local government authority. Former law allowed the municipal corporation or township to, and this is what people got to understand. These cities are corporations, right? They're telling you, they're showing you, right? Local government authority. Former law allowed a municipal corporation or township to prohibit or limit the number of adult use operators within the boundaries of the subdivision, subject to certain limitations. The act retains similar authority, but specifies that a township or municipality cannot prohibit or limit the marijuana activities of a person who holds a medical marijuana license or adult use license received before March 20th, 2026, except such a prohibition or limitation adopted before that date may be enforced. Further, a township or municipality cannot prohibit or limit any activity authorized under a marijuana control law, such as home grow. The act repeals numerous limitations on municipal and township authority to regulate marijuana that, for example, do the following: prohibit or limit home grow or other activities authorized by the cannabis control law, prohibit or limit adult use cultivation processors or dispensaries that are co-located on the same parcel or contiguous parcels as an existing medical marijuana cultivator or processor, prohibit or limit a licensed medical marijuana dispensary that has its certificate of operation on December 7th, 2023, from also operating an adult use dispensary unless the municipal corporation or township adopts a prohibiting or limiting ordinance on resolutions within 120 days after the adult use dispensary license is issued. Require a dispensary to cease operations within 60 days after a municipal corporation or township passes an ordinance or resolution as described above, unless the dispensary files a petition with the Board of Elections and the issue decided at the next general election. Specify the majority of qualified voters of the municipal corporation or township approve the dispensary's continued operations. The dispensary may continue to operate, and the municipal corporation or township may continue receiving host community cannabis funds. Specify that if the majority of qualified voters of the municipal corporation or township voted to disapprove the dispensary's continued operation, the dispensary may request that and DCC must approve relocation of its operations outside of the municipal corporation or township. Name, image, and likeness deals. The act expands the authority of institutions of higher education to prohibit students from entering into certain name, image, and likeness NIL deals to include adult use marijuana products and license holders. Former law only authorized institutions of higher education to prohibit students from entering into NIL deals with certain entities, such as casinos, tobacco manufacturers, or medical marijuana license holders. The act expands this authority to include adult use marijuana license holders. And that's what's whack too. Like, as a former athlete and football player, like now, we talk about capitalism, we talk about free trade, we talk about all of this shit, but then you're gonna prohibit athletes from making money on cannabis, on casino. Like, that is some bullshit, bro. Like, and this is what I tell, like, people ain't as free as they think they are. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times, like, playing sports is cool, but you have so many different restrictions and things that prevent you from really leveraging your position of influence and power and making, money in your prime, which I think is whack. All right, yeah, I could read through the rest of this because about 43 pages. Let's see. Youth Prevention Program. The act requires the Department of Behavioral Health to establish and administer a statewide program to prevent youth use of marijuana. The program is required to do all of the following: use a harm reduction approach, include practices aimed at the prevention or reduction of substance abuse, substance use, substance abuse, substance dependence, and substance use disorders. Use other evidence-based approaches selected by the department. Appropriation. The act appropriates $47.5 million in fiscal year 2026 and $49 million in fiscal year 2027 from the host community cannabis funds to make marijuana excise tax distributions to municipal corporations and townships and have adult use dispensaries. Under continuing law, the fund receives 36% of receipts from the marijuana excise tax, which the act does not substantively amend. So it's the hemp regulations. I read the regulations on that. So yeah, that's it right there. That's SB 56 in the flesh. It's a lot of reading. That's why people don't be knowing the laws, because you actually got to read that shit. Let's see. Legal to park 17 tanker trucks full of Hennessy in your backyard, but you can only have 2.5 ounces of flour. You can strap a keg in front, like it's a passenger, but the weed is to be in the trunk. It's Ohio, man. It's Ohio. OH. Oh, man. Oh, fucking H. So, yeah, I mean, we got to get these folks out of there because they clearly don't know what they're talking about, right? And that'd be the problem, right? Like, you got, it's a Republican GOP, right? They have alcohol at every fundraiser. You can go to any fundraiser, any event, and get fucking wasted. But the thing is, people gotta understand, right? What does alcohol do, right? Alcohol, like, these motherfuckers been taking advantage of people while they on alcohol, right? Because you have all the health issues, you have all the criminal issues that come with alcohol. Obviously, driving while drunk, you got domestic violence. There's so much shit that happens when you're drunk, right? But we gonna slow you down. You're gonna relax. You're gonna chill. You know what I mean? Instead of going to party and then maybe fight, you're gonna relax at home. I know me, like, I'm kicking it. You know what I mean? So again, we have to understand this. They are all about war, one, right? So they're all about war. They're all about creating more problems than actually creating solutions. So again, it's up to us, the people that are in the cannabis community, one, to educate the community. So you have to educate your state politicians. If you are somebody that is a grower or somebody that is very into the weeds, right? You should be going to the agricultural meetings. You should be meeting with the politicians, right? Like, there's so many people that'll come online and complain, and then they've never had a meeting with the state representative or the state senator, right? Like, these people work for you. I don't work for y'all. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a community member. So I'm doing it on behalf of community. But at the end of the day, like, these people are getting paid by our taxes. You know what I mean? Our tax dollars are funding our oppression, which is crazy to me. Right. So we talk about 36% of the tax dollars coming to the community fund, but then they took out 36% to send to the general revenue fund, which what do you think they're going to send that money to? That money is going to go to the police for more task force. You know what I mean? To be able to, monitor people's social media, monitor events. You know what I mean? So we gotta understand, like, people still think they about to be doing events and the Fed's not about to show up. We are doing the Cannabis Social Equity Forum though, and there won't be weed like that. So yeah. I don't care if you bring your personal shit, but we will not be selling any weed. We do have back patio. I do have to meet up with the owner of the space to see if it's cool, but I would assume it's Columbus, Ohio. So I'm not going. I don't think, and that's the thing too. Like with these laws, I don't think a lot of the cities are going to really be harmed as much as some of the smaller towns, right? So if you're traveling with weed, if you think you about to be traveling with 20 pounds, 15 pounds, 10 pounds, a pound, you just open yourself up for more, issues. So just be wise, be smart. Don't say I didn't tell you. If you're going to be consuming, again, private property, that's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? But again, I think we need more people to be raising awareness, to be speaking out publicly. I think we need more people to come together in their communities and build coalitions. Because right now there's a lot of people just on different pages throughout the state, right? Everybody got what they want, right? Or people doing what they want. So, people gonna be like, oh, I got my weed, right? I know a lot of people. I got my weed. I live in a house. I'm gonna be okay. But they're not thinking about people who, again, Ohio is in a housing crisis. We don't even have enough houses for people to live in, let alone, you can't consume. So if you got a medical issue or you just want to consume recreationally and you live in an apartment, can't home grow, can't vape, can't combust, right? Can't consume in your car. Where are you supposed to consume? We don't have no lounges or nothing, right? So hopefully you have a friend who is generous enough to allow you to come over to the house. But then again, like that's a lot too, right? So again, I mean, and I know it's not gonna stop people. I know people come on the internet like it's not gonna stop. We know, like it's not gonna stop me. But what I'm saying is it's going to open up a lot of people to be convicted of crimes that shouldn't be convicted of crimes, right? Or getting fines and penalties. So again, I think it's important that we think about other people outside of just ourselves, which I know can be hard for a lot of people to do. Well, I'm good, I figured it out. Cool, shut up. Help other people, right? If you don't got nothing good to add, if you're not gonna help, shut the fuck up. And I think that's a lot of people. Just shut up. Well, I don't like people smoking outside. I'm cool with the weed. Shut up. Go somewhere else. Not everybody's as privileged as you. And there's a lot of privilege in Ohio. There's a lot of privilege. There's a lot of people that lack, but the people that really speak up, privilege. And a lot of y'all need to shut the fuck up. Because if you're not going to use your privilege for good, right? If you're just going to use your privilege to just trample on other people, right? And to keep other people down, what are you here for? You know what I mean? You're part of the problem. And a lot of y'all are part of the problem and don't even realize it. Because I've been seeing on the internet, well, people shouldn't be smoking outside. There's kids in parks and don't nobody say nothing about the diesel trucks just spewing all types of black smoke and smog. Nobody's saying nothing about the fucking chemtrails over us. Nobody's saying nothing about East Palestine where they just blew up the fucking the oil right in them people, homes. But smoking weed. Shut up. I just don't like the way it smells. You shut your baby big. There's so much shit that's thing. You walk past a bar. You ever walk past a bar? That shit fucking reeks. You ever had somebody walk past you that's fucking sloshed? Fucking stinks. Like we've all I've been there. Like I've drank before. Like, come on. But you go into a bar, it smells like fucking piss. When the motherfuckers are being that motherfucker sloppy, drunk, hooting and hollering, but some weed is the fucking Some of y'all food be stank. Some of y'all breath be stank. Some of y'all cologne, perfume be stink. Some of y'all attitude is stank. And the weed is allowing people to not go off on your ass. Because I know the weed allows me to, it helps me to not really go off. Because I be wanting to. Then I smoke the weed and I be like, I'm gonna just let this shit slide because I don't have the time or the energy for this. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Again, we're at like 360 subs on our YouTube channel. Today is the first day I'm doing I'm streaming on 3 different pages. So I got my personal page on Facebook. I got my the Instagram, or not the Instagram, but the Ohio Cannabis Report Facebook, and then I got the YouTube channel. So I'm trying to expand, man. They're trying to expand. I'm on obviously StreamYard, and StreamYard be taxing. So I'm looking to see how this works. And then hopefully, soon we'll be able to afford the package. It's like $88 a month. I'm tired of paying for extra shit always just to get the message out. But I am working on my business for this. And so hopefully soon we will have some more finances coming through. Also, we do have some sponsorships in the works. So to any small businesses, to anybody that likes what we're doing on this page, definitely we're looking for sponsorships, partners to collaborate with us on this page. We can do obviously commercials, we can do hits, we can do podcasts. There's so many ways that we can help expand your brand, get your brand out there to our followers. We are in alignment with the community. So if you are looking to align with, cannabis forward, cannabis centric community, this is the place for you, especially in Ohio. So we cover all things Ohio cannabis, politics, culture, events. So if you have an event and you want us to cover it, just hit me up. Our email's at the bottom of the screen, ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. You can hit me up directly on Instagram at Gerald Moore Jr. Just let me know who you are, what you want to do. But I'm always looking to, promote and support local businesses, small entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, educational events, health fairs, any type of community event that really wants to spread, good vibes about cannabis. Obviously, there's been so much negativity surrounding cannabis for so long, people that consume cannabis. And one of the reasons I started this platform was to just kind of help in the stigma, right? Like people think, oh, you smoke weed, like you're lazy. Oh, you smoke weed, you're stupid. I just smoked a blunt before I did this show. It didn't stop me from doing nothing. Then I had a man that needed to come work on our water. Like they act like weed stops you from doing life. You know what I mean? Like now, had I had a fucking 3 shots of fucking Henny, 3 shots of tequila, 3 shots of some bourbon, some whiskey, I'd be fucked up right now. I'll be slurring over my words. You know what I mean? Like I'd be in a different state of mind, right? But cannabis doesn't do that, right? And so it's important that us that are in the cannabis community have more open dialogue and conversation. Everything don't have to be you smoking a joint on camera. Everything don't have to be you having pounds of weed, you know what I mean? Because right now a lot of people they focus on the image, right? So people that are against weed, all they know is the image that's being sold to them in the music. Oh, the athletes, you can't stay off of weed. You're a piehead. You're a drug addict. You popping 30 pills a day. As soon as you get a little inconvenience, you popping a Tylenol, an Advil. Y'all drink coffee every day. Nobody say nothing about the caffeine addiction, though. You don't drink caffeine. You don't drink coffee for one day. You don't take a Coca-Cola for one day and y'all be fucked up. But the weed is the problem. Like that's what is wild to me. It's just a plant. Like it's literally just a plant. And sometimes what I do on my weed too is just like I just smell it. The aroma is just it just brings so much peace, calm, serenity. Like It's my homegrown too. It's my first homegrown batch. Let's see, I'll show you. But sometimes, you know, I ain't even gotta smoke the weed. I could just smell them terps. Woo! And that's what you can't do at the dispensaries. Like, this is what's so whack about our dispensaries. Like, because when you smell the weed, you just know it. Tell you, like, yeah, that's it right there. Like, woo! Yeah, let me get that. But you know, again, when you can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't smell it, but then they want you to go pay overprice to buy some booty. It shit smells so good. Let's see if we got any new news articles. Let me know where y'all tapping in from too. So we'll do a little roll call. I'm in Columbus, Ohio right now. So shout out to everybody in the 614. If you're in Columbus, let me know where you tapping in from. Shout out to Cincinnati. I was just up in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to the Cleveland. Shout out to Dayton. Shout out to Toledo, Akron. Shout out to all the people, man. I know there's a lot of great folks in the state of Ohio doing a lot of great work. We are very disjointed. We're all over. I know people like, I'm not from Ohio. I'm from Cleveland. I'm not from Ohio. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm not from Ohio either. I was born in upstate New York, raised in the DMV. So again, I don't have that whole like Ohio complex. I feel like a lot of people in Ohio got a complex, man. Like, oh, everybody be hating on Ohio. Don't nobody hate on Ohio. I'm telling y'all that from somebody outside of Ohio that didn't know shit about Ohio until I moved here. Ohio is not on nobody's radar like that. Like, niggas hate on Ohio because y'all are retarded for like sports. Like, y'all be fucking obsessed with the Browns, the Bengals, and Ohio State. That's why niggas don't like Ohio, because all they hear about is the Buckeyes. And if the Buckeyes don't win, y'all some sorry losers. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all y'all got to show for it. A lot of shit is the Buckeyes, right? And ain't nobody want to say nothing. All this bullshit going on with Les Wexner and Jeffrey Epstein all through Ohio State. Like, all the people that show up every fucking Saturday, 100,000 plus, millions of people show up to the Horseshoe every fucking game to cheer on the Buckeyes. But then right across the street, you got Les Wexner's name on the fucking hospital. But nobody want to fucking, like, you should be raising hell about that shit. Like, that's your university that you support. But guess what? A lot of people ain't even go to Ohio State. They just cheer for the football team. And so that's what be annoying me. Like, y'all be, oh, football season. Oh, go Buckeyes, go Bucks. OHIO. And then as soon as some real shit happen, that's fucking up the whole state, the fucking up the whole city, it's fucking. Where are you niggas at? So that's what annoys me. And I think that's what annoys everybody else, is because it's like, first of all, Ohio State, it's not even a pro team. So you're cheering on a fucking college team. You're cheering on a bunch of 18, 19, 21-year-olds, right? Like, y'all get y'all fucking rise out of fucking football. Like, there's a lot of real shit going on that fuck football. Let me see if there's any articles out. I did see there was a lawsuit recently from some of the dispensary owners or breweries that are brewing cannabis. All right, so Ohio breweries fighting THC infused drink ban to keep jobs in the state.
THC beverages are officially outlawed here in Ohio. They're off store shelves and not being served in restaurants and bars, where Ohio beer makers say they were really popular. Well, Tessa DeTiro joins me here. You've been following all the twists and turns of this Senate Bill 56, but the fight, interestingly, is not over.
That's right, Tiffany, and there have been a lot of twists and turns. We've been trying to keep up with it for you. So after the failed petition to put Senate Bill 56 back on the ballot and in your hands of the voters, 11 major Ohio breweries are taking their fight directly to the lawmakers. So breweries like Saucy Brew Works and Great Lakes Brewing Company asking Ohioans to contact their representatives to demand a vote to override Governor DeWine's decision to ban THC drinks and THC products. The breweries have launched a new website where residents can educate themselves about what's going on and then send a message directly to lawmakers. At Saucy Brew Works, staff had to transfer all of those THC-infused drinks out of Ohio, and now the brewery can't produce the drinks on site.
We have an amazing partner in Indiana that's doing it for us, but obviously none of those jobs are here, and it costs more for somebody else to do it rather than us doing it.
Well, at Great Lakes Brewing Company, folks are coming into the pub shocked that the drinks are no longer on the menu.
For us, as a brewery that's trying to find some growth again in a very tough industry, it's really just taken away that opportunity for us to find that revenue again from something that obviously consumers are extremely interested in and the one category that was growing.
We did reach out to Governor DeWine's office for a statement. They tell us, quote, even with the passage of Issue 2 in 2023, which legalized the sale of recreational marijuana in Ohio, no Ohio voter ever approved THC beverages to be sold at a restaurant, a brewery, a convenience store, or a carryout. Now, brewers say they are counting on lawmakers to bring the issue back to the floor at the State House. If it is, breweries will have until the end of the year to sell products while they work at the federal level to allow THC-infused drinks to be sold in the future. And if you click on this story at news5cleveland.com, we have a link so you can read more from those local breweries, Tiffany.
Yeah, it sounds like they want to give people more options because you can get these drinks in those licensed dispensaries.
And that's a good point.
All right. Thanks, Tessa.
My bad. All right. I got another, I got some more news to share. Let me.
The fight to prevent new cannabis rules from taking effect came to an end last week. Now, THC drinks are gone from most store shelves, and one local dispensary is seeing a change with its customers. Local 12's Daniel Zivian is here now with a look at the fallout from these new laws. Daniel.
Kyle, I spoke with the co-founder of King City Gardens at his dispensary in Camp Washington, and I asked him about some of the major controversies with the law. He says he views the ban on most intoxicating hemp as closing a loophole for untested product and bringing hemp into the licensed market. In other words, dispensaries.
It really closes that loop and gives the regulated market an opportunity to be able to sell cannabis the way it should be, where it's tested and the consumer knows exactly what they're getting, rather than the unregulated side of business.
While activists railed against the hemp crackdown, they also warned the law would erode personal freedoms with marijuana. Ohioans can no longer transport weed paraphernalia, possess weed in anything but the original package, or consume weed in public. Kaveh Azadeh says he sees these rules as temporary setbacks.
I mean, look, there's definitely some things in that bill where it does restrict people, but I do think over time, as cannabis becomes more mainstream, some of those regulations will eventually start loosening up.
Things have changed overnight at the Garden Dispensary, and Azadeh says it's for the better, notching a 23% increase in customers. He says the new customers can no longer go to the gas stations and vape shops for their hemp-derived products.
And now that those stores are shut down, they're coming to the regulated stores like us, and I think that's the great thing for not just businesses that are doing things the right way, but also for the consumer, for the safety of the product.
everything evens out in the end. And Azadeh says he is not celebrating too much about the uptick because at the same time, there's been a decrease in customers from Kentucky. He says the rules around transporting over state lines may have scared them off. So if he wants them back, he'll have to meet them where they are in the future. Back to you, Kyle.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Local breweries are campaigning for a legislative override of Governor DeWine's THC drink veto. They want Ohioans to call their state lawmakers directly.
They want their law. I want you to call your lawmakers directly.
Join us
Oh,
April 14th through the
awesome.
16th for the Ohio University Music Industry Summit in Athens, Ohio, or virtual. 3 days of panels, concerts, workshops.
Jay, thank you. This week, an overhaul to Ohio's marijuana laws is set to take effect. Under Senate Bill 56 last year, Ohio lawmakers approved significant changes to the state's marijuana laws. But it came with immediate pushback as organizers with Ohioans for Cannabis Choice are gathering signatures to overturn those changes approved by the legislature and signed by the governor. 13 Action News anchor Gerald Harris joins us with more.
People signing the petition say they want to make it clear the recent legislative changes to Ohio's cannabis law is not what they asked for. It was a major push from Governor Mike DeWine.
For intoxicating hemp, this product has no restrictions on where it can be sold or who can buy it.
To provide strict parameters around adult use cannabis and hemp.
Intoxicating hemp has no required regulatory testing at all and is sold in packages enticing to children, many times mimicking the packaging of common candies.
Beginning later this week, under SB 56, Ohio will ban the sale of intoxicating hemp products outside of marijuana dispensaries. And Ohioans will only be allowed to possess and use marijuana that's legally grown or purchased in Ohio. The legislation also would reduce the allowable potency of adult use marijuana, among other changes.
We're stuck in the Stone Age.
In an attempt to reverse the law.
In the state of Ohio, we need a total of 250,000 valid signatures.
Folks like Kevin Spittler, a cannabis activist, are joining others to gather signatures for a referendum.
To sit there and say that they know what's best for us is absolutely wrong.
The goal is to repeal many of the changes made by the legislature under SB 56.
We voted for this law, and it's not even about marijuana. It's about Ohio legislators not listening to the people. And if the people voted for it, it should be what is law.
Spittler took to the Polish ostrich bar to collect signatures, but in response to concerns from the governor,
a lot of this comes down to personal responsibility.
He adds there are benefits to cannabis and hemp accessibility.
The clipboard I have right here is made of hemp, so they're building houses and such, so the plant itself has a huge future.
He argues it's time for leaders to get on board or get out the way of cannabis cultivation.
There's so much more than just a high.
Although the Ohio Cannabis Coalition, which represents Ohio businesses and individuals, supports the legislation. SB 56 also bans public smoking and imposes new criminal penalties, among other restrictions. Gerald Harris, 13 Action News.
Yes, I do. All right, this is my last video, and then I gotta go to the gym, baby. At the gym.
Getting tax revenue from recreational cannabis sales. It's something that was promised back in 2023 when Ohioans approved adult use marijuana. Well, according to state tax records in Northeast Ohio, Canton is said to receive the most in taxes generated through 2025 at $1 million. Akron and Cleveland follow, with both cities receiving more than $800,000. Well, I cover Lorain County, and we learned 3 communities received a total of nearly $820,000. Here's how that money is being spent. Between September of 2024 and November of 2025, Elyria earned $374,000 in tax revenue from recreational cannabis sales. That's the largest payout among communities in Lorain County that have dispensaries.
We weren't sure we were ever going to see it.
Payments were withheld until the passage of Senate Bill 56 in December. Under the legislation, 64% of cannabis tax revenue goes to Ohio's general fund, and the remaining 36% goes to communities that have at least one licensed dispensary. Elyria Mayor Kevin Brubaker tells me the city expects to receive $23,000 a month moving forward.
$23,000 on a $50 million general fund budget that we have. It's kind of like a needle in a haystack. It's not a lot, but it will help.
What are you going to do with the money? I mean, more than $300,000, that's a lot.
Well, like most cities, we struggle with funding and revenue, and we sat down with our finance director and our safety service director and came up with a plan that we were just going to put it into our general fund to help stabilize that, and then we use that to fund all of our different departments in the city.
Elyria has 2 recreational cannabis dispensaries. FRX on Sugar Lane sells medical marijuana too. The general manager tells me
the revenue has gone up because the amount of people that we can assist has gone up, since adult use came into action. And I think it's really beneficial for not only the city as far as the revenue that they're making, but for the people as well.
Well, state tax records show Sheffield Township will receive $168,000 in recreational tax revenue. It's unclear exactly how that's going to be used. We reached out to the township's fiscal officer. It hasn't been addressed just yet. Now, we want to move on because meantime, in Lorain, it received an initial payment worth more than $275,000. The city's auditor sent a statement saying the money will be used to support all city functions, and future funds may be designated for specific projects that are approved by city council.
Only think about you. Yes, I do. There's an error.
Affordable designer reception desks for your lobby. Quality guaranteed with fast shipping.
A Village of Batavia council member accused of assaulting a resident right outside of a public town hall meeting. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Trisha Mackey.
And I'm Rob Williams. Our Brooklyn Andrews spoke with a man who was allegedly assaulted and joins us live with what we know.
Yeah, Rob, Trisha, that's right. The Claremont County Sheriff's Office said it was right here where board member and former chief of police here for the Village of Batavia followed.
Wild out here, man. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in again. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Make sure you RSVP for the Cannabis Social Equity Forum April 4th on Eventbrite. And look forward to meeting more of you guys in person. Obviously, I am a real person offline. I don't just do social media stuff. I'm not an influencer or none of that either. Like, I'm just doing myself, being myself. So again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope y'all have a blessed rest of the day. Peace.